What?
The front door is not
Are you
locked.
serious? Go to sleep. I'll lock it.
No, it's not locking either.
Good night.
Be nice, you jerk.
I am. She shouldn't be awake.
Remember when we first met John McClane? Argyle picked him up from the plane and took him down the Nakatomi Tower at the Christmas party. And the terrorists were overzealous, but it was sweet when they killed Ellis. And with a little help from Alan, John McClane kicked ass.
Welcome back to Shat The Movies, the podcast where we answer the question, were the movies we loved when we were growing up really that good? Have you ever caught yourself thinking, why don't they make movies like they used to? Can you still remember spending your Friday night searching for the perfect movie rental at Blockbuster Video? Do you know what Blockbuster Video is? If you answered yes, then this is the podcast for you. I am one of your hosts, Gene Lyons, and alongside me is my co-host, Big D, Dick Ebert.
Good evening.
And each week we take a look back in time, decide if our favorite films still hold up. The movies we cover are chosen by you, the listeners, who generously commission the films you love. If you'd like to see all the movies we have covered, will cover, want to choose one for yourself, please visit shatpod.com and have a look. At the end of each podcast, we'll provide you, the audience, the number of wipes each movie takes to get off your respective butts. So thank you so much for listening. If you have not already, hit that subscribe button and share with a friend. It's how we help the podcast grow. Additionally, subscribe to our sister podcast, Shat on TV. Review TV series such as Westworld, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, True Detective, Lovecraft Country, and Watchmen. Find all information and past episodes at shatpod.com/TV. And finally, if you would like to hang out with us live, follow and subscribe to our Twitch channel, shatpod.com/Twitch, and our YouTube channel, where we play video games, host watch parties, and edit this podcast live. All that being said, Big D, what movie are you reviewing tonight?
Gene, I'm excited. It's nice to see you again. Even we've had a couple weeks apart.
Yeah.
And the distance has made my heart grow fonder. I've missed you.
Missed you too.
I've missed the podcast. I went to Sweden to take my mother back to the homeland. I got to play parent. I got to pull the full adult game. I said, hey, give me your passports. I said, let's go. I had to walk them through customs. I got them, walked them through Sweden. It was actually wonderful. It was a great trip. I'm excited to be back, excited to be recording with you, and it's exciting to do another commission for Rob H. So Rob H has been kind. He likes to do commissions in batches. So we are in week 3 of the month of Rob H. So Rob has already done Rapid Fire from 92. He did The Hitcher from 86. And then next week, he's got a great one. We've already talked about it. It's just a wild film that could have only been made back in the 90s. So that'll be next week. But tonight's film is the 1998 American crime thriller, The Negotiator. And he was kind enough to send us a voicemail and tell us again in his smooth tones why this film was commissioned, why it's important for him, and why it fits into the Shat pantheon.
Hi guys, it's Rob H here from the UK. Hope you are both keeping well. Really excited to introduce this next commission to you both and looking forward to hearing your thoughts on this one. It's The Negotiator from 1998. It's a film I've loved from the first time I watched it. In fact, it's one of the first DVDs I actually bought. So as you can imagine, I've watched it time and time again over all the years. Why do I like it so much? Well, it's got everything. To start off with, it's got a great cast, which, as you know from my previous commissions, I always talk about the cast. It's a massive thing that I love and influences my choices when I'm picking these movies out to be commissioned and reviewed by yourselves. It's got Sam Jackson and Kevin Spacey facing off against each other. Both are immense actors. Both are scene stealers, but together on screen, they bounce off each other brilliantly. I think it's a real standout. Sam Jackson's awesome in every movie he's in. Kevin Spacey, to me, is a special actor. Yes, he's had his problems in the background with all the accusations, but I think we're missing out with him not being on films now and into the future. He's a brilliant actor. The supporting cast is absolutely awesome. David Morse from The Green Mile is really, really good as the aggressive Beck, always wanted to shoot first and then ask questions later. J.T. Walsh, what an actor. He plays the dodgy counselor in this one. I've loved him in previous films, in A Few Good Men, for example. Such a shame that he passed away suddenly in 1998 before this film was released. We've lost a serious talent there, and I think he would have been just one of the great actors of his generation. Paul Giamatti, if I pronounced that right, is the wise talking, very blunt Rudy. Absolutely fantastic. Made me giggle, as always, when I watch this movie. Ron Rifkin as the police chief. The list just goes on and on and on. But away from the cast, I think the film is tense. I think it's unpredictable. The action scenes are great. Chicago looks fantastic as the backdrop to this movie. The skyline looks brilliant. Chicago is just a brilliant city. And I was actually stood outside the building. This was filmed in a few weeks ago when I went to see my girlfriend over there. And I know, Gene, you love Chicago, so I'm guessing you think it's as awesome as I do in this movie. There's a great twist. There's great humor, as I mentioned. It's just got everything. I watched it with my 18-year-old son, who's a massive film buff, and he is usually really critical of any of my old dad movies, as he calls them, and even he said it was good. Now, that's huge praise, guys, huge praise indeed. It's a film I can and I always rewatch, so for me, it's easy to give it a really good score, and especially with my son's seal of approval, it's a one white movie. Looking forward to hearing your review, looking forward to your thoughts, Big D and Gene, as always. Fantastic to be able to do this again. Thanks for everything you do. Hope this film is your cup of tea, as we say over in the UK, and look forward to speak to you soon. Cheers, bye.
Rob, thank you so much for this commission. You mentioned David Morse from The Green Mile. I was thinking our recent commission that we did of Contact. That's what I associate him with. But yeah, it was interesting to see him as like this hard-nosed character after watching him in Contact as like the benevolent father / alien replicant. As for Chicago, by the way, so Sarah and I have been considering doing sort of a snowbird sort of thing where we live in Arizona most of the year, but we spend summers in Chicago and maybe considering a permanent move at some point. Chicago it's second in my heart after New Orleans, but certainly a little more stable, less prone to hurricanes and being swept into the sea than New Orleans. And so I've been looking at movies to watch with Sarah that sort of highlight Chicago. So I looked at While You Were Sleeping. Of course, we did The Untouchables. And then I popped on The Negotiator and boom, there it was. And it does look splendid in this film.
See, but why are the Chicago police always inept? Every single film, from even Home Alone, right? Home Alone, Adventures in Babysitting, Presumed Innocent, or no, what was the Harrison Ford one? The Fugitive.
Yeah.
The Fugitive. Anytime I see the elevated L, I'm like, gee, we're going to see some shenanigans. We're going to see people like hijinks. They're going to be crashing their cars. It's going to be goofy police work. And it didn't disappoint.
Fuck, you left out the Blues Brothers?
Right. That's 100%. Yes. There's never been a time where I've thought, damn, the Chicago police, those guys are on top of their game. Never.
Yeah. Well, they really are.
No.
No.
This movie, they have about 200 police just there, all looking at each other, smoking on the phone, and nothing's getting done.
No, but you're missing out on those. That Samuel L. Jackson and Kevin Spacey are also Chicago police, and they're great at their jobs.
Yeah, I'll get into that. I think there's different levels of police.
Oh, Big D, I have no idea how this movie completely flew under the radar for teenage Gene Lyons. Rob, I'll be honest, I didn't know The Negotiator existed until you commissioned it. And it's weird because I was a huge Samuel L. Jackson fan in 1998. So we're coming off of Pulp Fiction in 1994. And then with Kevin Spacey, you had Midnight in the Garden of Good and Evil, which I absolutely loved, along with, of course, Usual Suspects. So this movie would have been absolute catnip to me in 1998. And the only thing I think of is college and drugs.
I mean, if you think the difference in the star power back in 98, you got Samuel L. Jackson, Kevin Spacey. They're on the cover. It's the two of them. It looks like almost like a buddy film. You can't tell if they're negotiating together. You don't know. But between the two of them, 3 Oscar wins, 5 Oscar nominations. It's going to be good to go back because you can't avoid the Kevin Spacey stuff, right? But I do want to say he has been cleared of every accusation, of every charge. So I can't fault the man. I feel bad for him right now. It seems like from a lot of the stuff I've read was like awkward, weird interactions that just snowballed. And I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to be the guy who poo-poos allegations, but we also have to keep in mind, like this is Gene Lyons speaking, not speaking for the podcast, but personally, right? These are actors in Hollywood in a very different environment than the rest of us live in. I think that's important to remember. Okay, this is not some guy in Lima, Ohio, right? This is Kevin Spacey, a star in Hollywood. And I expect that their parties, their lifestyle, like the way things go in Hollywood, again, not saying sexual assault is okay, not saying sexual harassment is okay, but rather that they may be a little wilder, right, than the Dick Eberts and the Gene Lionses of the world.
I mean, again, just he was innocent. And some of the case, I don't want to I feel bad.
No.
What I've read, it felt like it was entrapment. He was an older, awkward, closeted guy. He had a couple encounters with some young guys who were texting friends being like, you're not going to believe it. He's coming on to me right now. And they were getting free drinks. So I could picture, it's got to be so hard to not be living your true self. You go out to be lured and to be get in a situation where you could easily be put in a compromising situation.
I don't know if this is a relevant story, but when I was like 14 years old, it was, I got my first camcorder, like a little mini VHS, right? And I was at a party and I couldn't drink. I was 14, but everybody else was drinking, right? And there were people who were like chicks who were like passed out. And I didn't like pull their clothes off or anything, but I filmed them. Like I was just like, oh, that's a hot chick. Oh, that's a hot chick, right? Spank bank material for later. Okay.
Oh,
that's creepy as hell.
I agree.
It's creepy as hell. But the fact is that I'm not a star, so nobody really cares. And, you know, again, I'm not saying Kevin Spacey's a 14-year-old, but the relevance of that story, though, is the fact that it's like you make questionable decisions that they're creepy, but not quite illegal, right?
Right. But we forgive so many people for absolutely horrible things. At some point, give the man a chance. Aren't we about redemption? There's people who've done far worse that we allow back in Hollywood. You know, some international directors and young lovers and even some modern day French directors who like to get relations with their stars.
I think what we're saying is not all men.
No. I don't think that's what I was saying.
No.
But I'm willing to give Kevin Spacey a chance. So not once did I think, oh, this fucking dirtbag. I was thinking, oh, I liked Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want him back again. Let's give him a renaissance. We've had the Brandon Fraser renaissance. Can we give Kevin Spacey a chance?
I mean, not to drag this out, but those guys are in two different camps. What did Brendan Fraser ever do that was wrong?
I don't know. It didn't matter. He was out of Hollywood. Nobody was giving him roles. I'm just saying, give the man a chance. That's all I'm saying.
The Negotiator is the 1998 crime thriller starring Samuel
I'm
L.
not
Jackson.
a negotiator. I'm sorry. I couldn't negotiate that pardon.
And Kevin Spacey as Chicago Police Department lieutenants who are expert hostage negotiators. Considered one of Jackson's most underrated performances, the film earned generally positive reviews from critics and grossed $88 million worldwide. Let's hit the trailer.
Lieutenant Danny Roman is the best hostage negotiator in Chicago.
Is it? After 6 hours, hostage negotiator Danny Roman risked his own life. Disarming the hostage taker.
In a perfect world, that would be enough.
No search force. Hold it.
But in this department,
You know me. I've been set up.
an honest cop is an easy target. Now, to clear his name, he's taking the police hostage.
I'm not going to jail today.
And demanding his own negotiator.
I don't want to talk to anyone else but Chris Sneaky. None of them. Wicked, sir. No. Never say no to a hostage taker. It's in the manual. Go ahead, Danny.
Academy Award nominee Samuel L. Jackson.
I know the rules of engagement, so don't.
Academy Award winner Kevin Spacey.
Relax. I'll call back. Come on over here. I know you don't think I'm innocent, so don't tell me. I want to do everything I can and you get out of here.
You want something from me?
I still have hostages.
What was that, a threat? Did you just threaten me?
Jeez, they have a shot. We can end it right here. You want to run?
Why should I get in there? Make me believe why I should deal with you ever again.
They want me dead.
Going in. Full breach.
Second unit one.
Now, if they can trust each other, you were wrong about me. Two men trained in the art of negotiation.
I'm surrounded by a room of people who want to go in there and kill me.
I wonder why that is. Release me, Lieutenant.
trigger!
Unusual offer.
Not in control!
Now you're going to have to deal with both of us.
Chicago Police Lieutenant Danny Roman's partner, Nate, warns him of a plot to embezzle millions from the Police Disability Fund. Before they can meet again, Nate is shot dead, and Danny is targeted by Internal Affairs Inspector Terrence Niebaum. Niebaum's team links Danny to the murder weapon and incriminating offshore accounts. Forced to surrender his gun and badge, Danny takes Niebaum, his administrative assistant Maggie, Danny's commander and friend Grant Frost, and conman Rudy Timmons as hostages. Big D, I went into the Negotiator fairly innocent. I knew that we were getting some sort of a negotiation, possibly a hostage situation. I knew we had Samuel L. Jackson, I knew we had Kevin Spacey. I did not expect the most shocking element of this film, which is Samuel L. Jackson's hair. And until the Negotiator, I never noticed that Samuel L. Jackson really likes to change up his hair for roles. And once you've seen it, there is no unseeing it, okay? Think about Pulp Fiction, Star Wars, Django Unchained, Jackie Brown. In every single film, Samuel L. Jackson had drastically different hair. The length, the style, and in this case, specifically, the color. Somehow, out of all the shit he did, including the wild-ass hair he had in Django Unchained, this red hair that he's rocking in The Negotiator, it is the most conspicuous of all the roles. It's the one that caused me to go down this rabbit hole. And when they asked him about it, why the red hair for The Negotiator, Samuel L. Jackson's response was, I was feeling Aboriginal.
Oh, I don't think it's Aboriginal. I think it's more like detective / jazz professor, or like suburban khaki wearing dad. So if you go by each of his roles, I never could have told you how diverse and how wild his hair is. He has fun with it. Pulp Fiction, we know, like the Jerry curl. But then Unbreakable, it's some wild matted afro off to the side. I don't even know how the hell you describe it. You've got Jackie Brown, ponytail, straightened. Mace Windu, bald. I think he looks great. Then you got something Caveman's Valentine. He's got dreads down to his back. You've got Formula 51. He looks like Latrell Sprewell, who played on the Golden State Warriors and the Knicks and choked out his coach. You do? Dude looks just like him. Exactly. But The Negotiator is the first time that I went, oh my, what?
Right?
What is that? I have no idea. Even the Django Unchained or the Black Snake Moan, where he's got the bald side, like the white hair on the side mixed in. None of those stuck out like this.
Yeah.
And the movie starts off, we're meeting him. He's this negotiator and he saves some people. He's on the news. They're having a party for him. And then all of a sudden, boom, this conspiracy that he gets tied into about stealing the police, the disability fund. He's arrested. It's going real quick, right? And then Internal Affairs shows up to his house. And Danny, this is a nightmare, I think, of anybody. You're going to get wrongly arrested like the Fugitive. You're going to get caught up in this corruption investigation. But when they come into his house and they start tearing apart everything, going through his entire life, I'm thinking about how, even as an innocent man, how this must be the most horrible, invasive, violating thing. To have people going through your most intimate items, your drawers, your clothes, pulling out, because I got weird shit, right? If you go through every drawer in my house, you're going to find some embarrassing shit. You're going to find letters, photos. You're going to find a lot of shit that I've built or hobbies I haven't finished. You're going to find medications, some legal, some maybe not. The fear of somebody coming through your house, would you rather have your browser history published, or would you rather have the police and a group of your friends go through your house and lay out your biggest secrets?
Officers, the door is unlocked. Please come in. Root through everything you want. Don't touch my browser history. I can't think of a single thing that is embarrassing. I live with Sarah. Why would I have anything embarrassing in the house?
Perverted sex toys?
No, she is my preferred sex toy.
Oh, so there's nothing.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, with you, I would never know.
We talk about the Fourth Amendment, right? And there's that line that people say, well, if you didn't do anything wrong, you have nothing to worry about. The Fourth Amendment isn't just there to like protect you from cops finding something in your house or in your car or whatever. It's the right to privacy, right? Like as Americans, like that's an expected thing. Like I have a right to privacy. I should not have to bear the items in my home or my vehicle or on my person to anybody but the people that I want to let in there. So I agree. Personally, though, I have nothing embarrassing in my home. I have many embarrassing things in my browser history.
So without being too specific, what would be in your browser history?
It had to do with the podcast. I'm trying to remember what the hell it was. Oh, it was American Pie. So we have American Pie coming up in 2 episodes, and I was trying to remember just how quote unquote raunchy the Nadia scene was. Like I remember that she masturbates, but I didn't remember like how far it goes. And so I looked it up. So in my browser history, there would be Nadia masturbation scene. And then you'd probably see that I went through like 3 or 4 searches because I wanted to find not the YouTube one, right? I wanted the unrated, like full on Jason Biggs one.
My mind didn't go to her, the masturbation scene in the beginning. It went to Jason Biggs on top of the kitchen table. The unrated version, he is actually thrusting bare ass into the hot apple pie.
The thing with browser history is like a random thought pops in my head and I'm going to chase it. And who knows where that goes. And it might not be like a personal perversion. As we've said on the podcast before, I'm quite meat and potatoes, but
it could be twisted.
It could be twisted. Exactly.
Like I've probably searched at some point the Richard Gere gerbil thing to see if that was a true story or what the origin of that urban legend was.
With the building evacuated, Danny will only speak to fellow negotiator Lieutenant Chris Sabian. Danny demands the return of his badge, a department funeral if he's killed, and the identities of Nate's informant and killer. Chris clashes with Danny's unit, particularly Chief Alan Travis and Commander Adam Beck. A breach of Niebaum's office backfires when a SWAT marksman refuses to shoot Danny, who then captures officers Scott and Marcus. Chris takes command of the scene, but Danny seemingly executes Scott to reestablish control. Listeners, there aren't enough movies that have "aw yeah" moments. And we talk about 0 white movies, 5 white movies, but in that spectrum, there are several movies that just have "aw yeah" moments. They might be good movies, they might be bad movies, but they're movies that get your attention and you go, this is what I paid the price of admission for. They're the moments when the entire concept of the movie just shines through in a singular scene. I'm thinking about Doc Holliday, right? Has a shootout in Tombstone. And you go, oh, fuck, that's why I'm watching this movie. And The Negotiator actually made me say it out loud. Oh, yeah. And it's the moment when Danny first gets on the phone with Farley. So Farley is the acting negotiator who replaces Danny because Danny's the one holding the hostages. And you see like, oh, shit, police negotiator tactics flipped around when an expert turns them on his own department. And it's Samuel L. Jackson. He is killing it in this role. I was drooling over all this work because he's just fucking with everybody's heads. And you go, yeah, that's the superpower this man possesses. And it's an interesting question that it poses. What if the best negotiator in the squad was the one taking the hostages?
I can't believe you're fucking fanboying so hard, but I love it. I don't know if it's the alcohol, if it was your day or whatever, but you were fanboying.
I wrote these notes sober.
Fucking fanboying so hard. Let's say the police force is a football team, right?
Yeah.
The hostage negotiators, they are the field goal kickers.
No.
Yes, without a doubt, they are. No. Because the rest of the cops, right, they're out, they're getting shot at, they're in life and death situations. The negotiator is sitting behind a telephone, right, playing mental games. You think anybody in the police force is like, wow, let's make an action-packed movie about a guy who talks on the phone. That's not what they're going to do, right? The kicker, right? The kicker all week practices like with no shoulder pads. You know, he's kicking the ball on the side while the rest of the people are actually tackling and hitting each other and getting CTE. But then when it comes down to that big moment, the kicker's got to step up. He's got to hit the field goal or everybody fucking hates him. You can't make negotiations seem like, oh yeah, that was so exciting.
You're so wrong about this. If we're going to use a football analogy, okay, the negotiator's a linebacker. Okay.
No, he's not.
Yeah. So you got all the linemen. That's your beat cops. Okay.
Okay.
And then you've got your linebackers who are like, actually, they're surveying what's going on. They're looking around. They're calling out the play. All right, this is how it's going. And maybe the sheer notion of that linebacker coming in and signaling that he's going to blitz causes disarray on the quarterback, who in this case is the hostage taker. Okay. And it causes the quarterback to fail because of the psychological game that the linebacker's playing. He's not the kicker. He's a linebacker.
How many hostage negotiators do you think a police force has?
In Chicago's case, it's 2 per precinct.
Two, right. There's linemen. You got way more linemen. It is the field goal kicker. And just for our listeners out there, HT, Gene, that is the police abbreviation for hostage taker.
I'm talking inside linebackers, of which generally there are 2.
The Untouchables tried to make researchers and bookworms exciting. Like, well, I
got him killed.
They did, but it was all about, hey, I'm going to research the law. I found out some tax loopholes. This was about nerds becoming the tough guy and bringing down Capone. It was a version of, normally these people would not be the high octane focus of an action film. That's not what it would be. You know, and even Danny, he shows his basic life. All the negotiators' lives are not very thrilling. They're not like Mel Gibson in Lethal Weapon, drunk in their camper, upset and putting a gun in his mouth. No, these negotiators, they're sitting home playing fucking little games with their family. Like, hey, come out of the bathroom, honey.
I'm sorry, but Danny clearly has some very enthusiastic line dancing in a Chicago dive bar.
Yeah, he does. At least he has a passion.
Line dancing and red hair.
If he is good at his job, right? You've said this is a special talent. So he should know what's going on. He should know how to play the game. And don't ever even compare him to that idiot Farley. You and I could hostage negotiate better than he could. He would struggle to order through a drive-through restaurant. He would have no idea what's going on. You and I could do a better job. So Danny, he keeps saying, I've been framed. I've been framed. I'm going to expose the corruption. And he should know how the police are thinking. He should know the methodology. He should know what's coming, right? So he has to think, I have to keep them questioning whether I will hurt somebody, but you got to balance it out. He's running around and telling everybody, I'm going to shoot somebody. You know what I'm capable of. You give me a short deadline, I'm going to kill everybody in here. He's escalating, constantly escalating. And he's trying to convince people that he's not a murderer, but then he's instantly threatening and shooting at people. It's counterintuitive and counterproductive for him being innocent. If I'm outside the building and I'm watching, I might think, damn, Danny was a good guy. He could dance in a bar. His wife was nice. He had a good relationship. He's been kicking butt on I'm glad he's on our team. He's been saving our guys. But I gotta be like, man, maybe he's a little fucking crazy. He's shooting everybody. He gets in front of that blown out window in the skyscraper. He's got his arms out wide and he's screaming, you want blood? Take my blood. Dude, you got to be thinking, balance it out, dude. If you're a professional, you wouldn't be going this nuts because everybody's got to be thinking, we have to shoot this guy. He's definitely guilty.
Real world, what he needs to do is get a new attorney. Okay. His attorney quits on him way too fucking easy in this movie. And he needs to go through all the technical parts because he knows he didn't do it, right? So offshore accounts, you can explain that shit by saying, hey, show that I established his offshore account, show that they pay back to me, right? The murder weapon, okay, cool. Show anything connecting me to the murder weapon other than it was in my possession at some point when it was confiscated. And really the cops have very little to go on. But from the premise of the Negotiator, right? The world that we're in, Danny states several times that he understands the rules of engagement in a hostage situation. And he's doing all this stuff to manipulate those rules, right? That's what they're attempting. Again, listeners, what they're attempting to illustrate here is that he knows the rules. He's going to play those rules in order to have the advantage. So he knows in that rule set, the Chicago PD will not do anything to endanger hostages. So he needs them to believe that he will kill hostages, right? The same thing goes for standing in the window, right? You need media attention. You need to stand in that window, talk about taking your blood to get more eyes on you so that if you are killed, at least, that people will want answers and maybe can clear your name posthumously, right? But I was more curious about what the other cops were doing, because they're like, he's standing there in the window and there's like a dozen lasers on his body, those lasers corresponding to rifles that are pointed at him. All of us know this, whether you've had military training, police training, or just any firearm training. You don't point a gun at anything you don't intend to shoot. All it would take is one bad. This guy's in a helicopter, right? One bad twitch and he's Swiss cheese. It made me very nervous.
On top of that, this is a huge conspiracy. Are you telling me none of those like 35 red dots were someone involved? And you all you had to do was shoot him and go, oh man, he was screaming, you want my blood? Take my blood. No jury is going to convict one of these cops for shooting him. That's my whole thing. You could have made them believe you were genuinely a threat without getting to them to the point where they think we have to breach right now. And that's where he went a little bit too far.
Well, Danny releases Frost in exchange for restoring the building's electricity, allowing him to search Niebaum's computer and find wiretap recordings of Nate. With the help of Rudy and Maggie, Danny discovers corrupt officers submitted false disability claims to an insider. Chris claims to have located the informant, but Danny realizes Chris is bluffing. Niebaum admits that Nate gave him wiretaps implicating 3 of his squad mates in the scheme, Allen, Hellman, and Argento. Niebaum was bribed by the guilty officers to cover up their crimes, while Nate refused bribes and was killed.
One of my favorite things going back and watching these movies from the 80s and 90s, it was a unique time in human history where technology from year to year could change wildly. Late 80s to mid 90s, the 90s into the 2000s, when technology and the internet explodes, right? 98, dude. I can remember that Google may have, I think it was Netscape. The internet was there. I remember copy and pasting stuff in college. You could actually research things online, Yahoo. You can tell from the way that these police officers use computers and technology, you can tell they have no idea what the hell's going on. That this is a new form of technology in the police force, because there's this huge shootout, right? So you got one of the SWAT guys. He's up in the air ducts. He's got a suppressed automatic weapon, and they're on the computer. And Giamatti's got to come help Danny because Danny doesn't know how to use the computer. So he's like, search SEARCH. What was he like? Informant. And they're like, okay, let's see what do we got there. We got a whole bunch of files. No, it was 3 files. Okay, so they click on the third one. But the dude, he's like, I got to get rid of this digital information. So he leans down and he pumps about 5 or 6 rounds. A couple go into the monitor. 1 or 2 go into the tower. All of them are like, oh, the information's gone. What are we going to do? Oh, I'm like, dude, that's not how it works. You didn't, it's imagine if somebody shot a book and everyone said, oh, we can't read the book anymore. They shot the book. All you have to do is, unless they hit the hard drive, you could take that apart. You could recover data. It's just ridiculous the way that these guys think immediately, oh, we lost all of that evidence. Where else can we find more of it? Today, Gene, you would think, let's get the hard drive, let's get the data, let's see what we could do. Here, these guys think, oh, the case is over with, and everybody is buying it. Like this magic box had just solved the case with 4 or 5 keystrokes, and it was just so laughable how dumb the movie tech logic was.
Yeah, realistically, at this point, Samuel Jackson can turn himself in, and he can tell his attorney, hey, there's incriminating evidence. We need to subpoena the hard drive of Niebaum's machine and everything at his house, right? And they could at least, in that search and that disclosure, be like, oh shit, yeah, we actually found some evidence here. But I didn't take this part of the movie to mean the data is gone forever. I took it as the data won't be retrieved anytime soon. But regardless, the smoking gun is on Niebaum's home computer, right? So they discover that the actual recording that they need is on Niebaum's home computer,
right?
And that is also talking about not knowing how computers work. Wildly irresponsible. Okay, we're not talking about. There's no cloud infrastructure here, guys. This is taking it from one machine to another on a floppy disk. If his kid is doing like his English homework on the family PC, which, by the way, if you don't remember this, younger listeners, back in the day, we had a family computer. It was generally in the computer room, or like they had like a nook or like a desk that was sometimes near the kitchen for some fucking reason. But anyway, that's where you would go and everybody shared one computer, right? And if that kid was, accidentally clicking on those files, like, well, what's this, daddy? Or accidentally deleted the files. This is wild.
But a bigger problem, Gene, it goes into that scene as well, right? They're now being chased by the entire Chicago police force.
Yeah.
They get back to his house. Today, if you were being chased and you went back to his house, why wouldn't you just pick up the tower? You pick up the tower and run away with it.
Later.
You could go to some other, like get a hotel, sit there for months and months and go through, build your case. Instead here, they're acting like this home computer will only function in this one location. Like it's a secure data center. They're like, hey, come on, we got to hurry up. The police are coming. Pick the fucking computer up and leave. But they don't understand that you could take it somewhere else.
It's very Zoolander.
It is. Normally in these movies, you can tell what's going to happen, right? You don't have to be doing a podcast for 10 years and 500 movies to know, I'm going to believe Danny's innocent. Yeah. We're going to believe there's a conspiracy. He's not actually part of some scheme to steal the money, right? But it's so hard because there's familiar faces everywhere. Normally, what was it we were doing? Shoot to Kill.
Deadly Pursuit.
Where you have a group of guys, one of them's a killer. You knew who it was.
Yeah.
There was only one possible actor who it could be. Here, everybody could be the one. Half the guys are in the background. You're like, okay, that guy always plays cops. Ooh, that guy always plays villains. That guy always plays a military guy. There's another guy who's always mobsters. Every character in the background, it was a great quality actor. He somehow had an influence in the 90s in this crime thriller genre that any of them could have been. So it was a mystery. Even to the end, I was like, okay, I kind of knew Frost was part of it immediately, but the rest of them, I did not know who was involved. Did you find yourself having a difficult time spotting who could have been part of the conspiracy?
I think Niebaum was the one that really threw me for a loop because I thought he was kind of behind everything, but you realize that he's actually just a guy who's trying to stay alive. He takes the bribe, whatever. So yeah, they did a great job keeping us guessing. And I also thought the Negotiator showed some real maturity in rationing this talent. As you said, it's a who's who, right? Rob pointed that as well. This movie is loaded with stars. Samuel L. Jackson, David Morse, J.T. Walsh, Regina Taylor, we haven't talked about, Paul Giamatti, Hank from Breaking Bad, and Kevin Spacey.
Yes.
And what they do that's so smart is they keep you guessing, but they also release them all. It's like the Royal Rumble, of movie stars, right? They release them all at a steady drip. They plop a fresh one down anytime the movie starts to feel too familiar. Kevin Spacey, just as a metric here, okay, he is by all means the second biggest star in the movie. Big D, you said he's on the poster. He doesn't even appear in this movie until 40 minutes into the film. That's how much maturity and patience they have just marinating this thing.
And seriously, David Morse, he is always like that deep voiced, like mysterious, like bad character. Green Mile, The Rock, 12 Monkeys, House. He was also in World War Z. They all play. You got the Ron Rifkin who plays Frost. He's always like that government agent, that senior conspiracy guy, Alias, Brothers and Sisters. He's like a lawyer or some kind of somebody playing in politics. You got John Spencer, who's in like the West Wing, Black Rain, War Games. It's a who's who.
This cast is so stacked that Paul Giamatti gets like a role. That's Paul fucking Giamatti, dude.
Even Hank, 2 or 3 shots, and he's duct taped and he's gone.
He looked a little aged for his role, I thought. Kudos to Hollywood for giving an old guy a chance.
No, he was probably like 25 at that point. He's somebody who's aged. He aged very old. He's infantry old. Okay. Yeah, he's infantry old.
You said he's 7 years older than I am? That's your age, dude.
But I'm just saying that Hank Schrader always looked old.
Fair.
I would bet you in this role, he was in his late 20s or early 30s.
Well, Niebaum has safely hidden the wiretaps, but the corrupt officers enter through the air vents and kill him. Danny fends them off with flashbangs, and Niebaum's murder convinces the remaining hostages that Danny is being set up. The FBI assume jurisdiction of the operation and order a full breach, while Chris re-enters the building to warn Danny, who reveals that Scott is actually unharmed. Chris agrees to help Danny clear his name, and as the building is raided and the hostages are rescued, Danny disguises himself in Scott's uniform and escapes. Big D, I was trying not to crack up when I mentioned the flashbangs because this movie has a fucking hard on for flashbangs. Okay, Danny's fucking Joe Burrow out there. He's dropping a lot of football references in this pod. He's dropping grenades behind desks. He tosses one through like a fucking air vent. He's throwing them through windows. And these flashbangs, I got to tell you, they're very effective. There's fucking bodies flying, shit's catching fire. These SWAT guys are getting absolutely wrecked by these non-lethals. And not being an explosives expert here, is this how flashbangs actually work?
Dude, you play enough video games, you know that you know how they work.
Yeah, they're disorienting. Yeah.
Yes, it's a concussive force that in a small area will get your equilibrium all screwed up. It'll make you deaf. It'll make you disoriented. And no, this is not. I felt like this was like some magical, almost like, the phasers in Star Trek. You can set them from like stun to kill or whatever it is. I felt like I wanted to see on the bottom, there was a dial because he is fucking dotting it. I'm telling you, he is Joe Burrow. He can get it between a filing cabinet and a wall about 35 feet away while he's taking fire from 4 different elevated positions. And on top of that, he looks like somebody who's playing Red Dead Redemption for like 6 months and stockpiling like animal pelts. He's got enough flashbangs. How many police were carrying flashbangs? At some point, I thought when he started the fire that he was going to have like some smoke. He was going to pop smoke, start a fire, and then like just make it hard for the police to see. No, this dude is fucking double fisting flashbangs. He's fucking throwing them left and right. He's deadly.
For the casual viewer who doesn't understand how prominent a character the flashbangs are in this movie, it's like first person view as the flashbang when it gets thrown, like, here I go through the vent, down behind the desk.
And I also don't get why these fully armed tactical SWAT officers are treating flashbangs like he's got a bazooka.
Yeah.
They're acting like he has got a 50 cal mounted, or he's coming Schwarzenegger pulling out a minigun. He's got flashbangs. And the cops are bursting out the door, throwing themselves down the stairwell. It's kind of fucking crazy, but the whole world's going nuts at this point. And maybe you're saying that Danny is a top level elite negotiator and he understands the psychology of getting into people's heads, because the movie turns at this point with the little bit of evidence they've gotten on the computer. And then all of a sudden, every single hostage is full team Danny. It's not even a question. He takes the handcuffs off. They're all helping him barricade. They've all bought into it, right? These people are ready to die for a guy who 2 hours ago was screaming, "You want blood? Take my blood," right? They've emotionally bought in. There's a worse part is one of the first police officers they catch. They catch Hank Schrader, I think, and they catch this black police officer, right? So the black police officer, you see him in the background and he's handcuffed. And as they're going through the computer, he's seeing the evidence and he's starting to buy in. And when Danny uncuffs him, they do like that predator handshake where he's like, "Yo, bro, I got you." And they look at each other. He's like, "Yo, we solid. I could feel it." And it was so corny that this whole fucking group of people are inspired and ready to die in this brotherhood with a man who they've just met. It is so fucking laughable and ridiculous.
Big D, fresh from a trip to Sweden, I figured you, of all people, would recognize Stockholm Syndrome when you saw it. I mean, this is another Airheads moment, right? Where you're wondering why.
Do you know how long Stockholm Syndrome takes to take effect?
72 hours.
Correct. How long were they in there, Gene?
But it's Stockholm Syndrome with a negotiator.
Oh, so it's like a superhuman negotiator.
Yeah, Chicago syndrome. It's different.
Oh, maybe it's because there's two negotiators. They're like combining their powers.
I understand them not trying to kill him, right? Maybe they're in doubt. Like, hey, it seems like this guy is telling the truth, whatever. They're actively helping him at this point, right? Sneak out this way. Let's help you get into the computer files, right? As you said, the dap up. Like, it's not, it's too much. It's going too far to saying that we love Danny when it should be like, maybe Danny is not guilty.
Maybe. You don't build a fucking a desk for it trying to block the other police from coming in. They're stacking up furniture and setting fire to the office they're now hunkered down in, and he provides them with a fire blanket and says, hey, use this. I'm sorry, buddy. You might be innocent, but I'm not getting burned alive in a high-rise fire.
Well, Danny and Chris rush to Niebaum's home, where Frost arrives to negotiate with him alone. Chris shoots Danny, offering to destroy the evidence in exchange for a cut of the embezzled funds. Frost agrees, but the conversation is broadcast to the awaiting police officers by radio. Humiliated, Frost attempts to commit suicide, but he's shot in the shoulder by Beck and arrested with the other corrupt officers. Big D, we debated on our Way of the Gun podcast whether it's better to be shot in the leg or jump into a fountain full of broken glass. And listeners on social media, you really came through. You wrote in saying we were stupid, that clearly getting shot in the leg could kill you while the glass couldn't. Other people listened very specifically to the words that Big D used, where he said swan dive into the fountain. So then they asked, from how high up? Like, is it and I quote, Scrooge McDuck situation, right? No, we were talking about the Way of the Gun situation, but you are right. There is no safe place to get shot, okay?
No.
Whether it's your leg, your gut, your arm. Bullets are notoriously unpredictable. Bone can fragment inside your body. Infections can happen. Bleeding is unpredictable. It depends the path of that round and where it goes. All that being said, I was surprised at a movie that's supposed to be like sort of mature, sort of for adults, how cavalier the Negotiator was about Chris. He shoots Danny to fool Frost. He shoots him right in the fucking gut. Like, he pulls a gun at 3 feet away and blasts this guy in the gut. That's not okay.
But what was your first thought? I thought he had the vest still on.
Yeah.
I thought this was going to be a Marty McFly.
Nope.
Dueling with Tannen in the center of Hill Valley in the 1800s. I thought it was sure that he was going to shoot him, but he takes it, dude. He fucking takes that slug, and it couldn't have been that bad because in the end, he gets into an ambulance. He's driving to the hospital, and no one has triaged him. He is still bleeding out freely all over the ambulance, but this ending is very much like Lethal Weapon, where we get the fight in the front yard. You remember in the sprinkler?
Yep.
Where they're beating the shit out of each other and the whole police force is just watching. You've got 30, 40 cops, all armed, all aiming at Danny. You've got now this hostage situation. There's a shootout. There's Faust is on the floor. He picks up the gun. He's got it aimed at his head. All the other cops are like, hey, don't do that. Does he back down? No, he continues to aim at his head for a full 45 seconds. And the police are just calmly like, Danny, what are you doing? Oh, looks like Danny's going to shoot him in the head right there. Nobody panics. No snipers shoot. Nobody who was part of the conspiracy shoots. Everyone is just sitting there like, wow, I don't know if he's going to shoot him. Maybe he will. Maybe he won't. Thankfully, at the end, he doesn't. But these are the most patient police officers. Police officers have shot people for throwing hot water at them. Danny pointing a gun at Frost's head, he's getting shot. And he deserved to be shot. He should have been shot.
That first shot the sniper had in the skyscraper scene, okay? By the way, I thought he'd be smarter than that as a negotiator, right? He's standing in an exposed window. The guy's got the shot. He's got it lined up with his head. You talk about how long something takes, like a full minute. That shot is lined up for a while. What do snipers live to do, man? They live to fucking take that shot. There isn't a sniper alive who wouldn't kill his own fucking best friend just to have that sweet shot. Chicago skyline, building to building, nighttime. Oh, you're blowing that guy away. Roll credits.
Hell yeah. Maybe it was the toothpick comment that saved his life. You know, he's like, oh, yeah, he's my friend.
The toothpick comment.
Yeah, you got to take that shot.
Now is the time of the podcast to give our Shat score for The Negotiator. Shat score is our way of telling you how many wipes the movie takes to get up your respective butts. 0 wipes is a perfect movie. It's when you talk a guy out of blowing up the Sears Tower. And 5 wipes is an absolute disaster of a film. It's when you can't talk your wife out of the bedroom or your kid off the phone. Big D, we'll start with you. What is your wipe score for The Negotiator?
So I'm going to try to compare this to other films in the genre, like thrillers, like the tense, like the Air Force One's Executive Decision, Under Siege, Con Air, Broken Arrow. It's better than average. I think it's a bit long. You've got actors who have 5 Oscar nominations, 3 wins between them. I'm going to go 2 wipes, I think, because it's peak ridiculous late 90s thriller nonsense. Everybody's sweaty. Everybody's screaming. Everybody's pointing a gun. We got laser sights all over the place, even though it would give away a sniper's position, right? If you have a sniper and he's aimed at one of the suspect's friends would be like, hey, you got some red dots on you. They're snipers. Let's hide. It doesn't work. But Samuel Jackson, he is at the top. He's at the peak, screaming. Just everybody. Snakes on a motherfucking plane. He's screaming. He is Samuel L. Jackson. Cast is loaded. Great actors. But the movie falls apart. If you think about it too long, the police tactics, the hostage logic, it's literally, it's ridiculous. The whole computer thing is funny, but I think it's hair long. That's one of my major complaints. If it was an hour and 45, I think it would be far better, but I'm going 2 wipes.
I'm close to that with you, Big D. And Rob, after rapid fire, he was like, "Whoa, this is a little rough, but I'm going to redeem myself next week with The Hitcher." And then The Hitcher came out. He's like, "Not really want it, but The Negotiator." And I said, "What I'll tell you, buddy, is it was a lot of fun to watch," and I stand by that. The ending, you're right, Big D, it falls apart. But I agree, the cast is loaded with actors I adore. I just would have appreciated Danny using his negotiating skills more, right? I think they just kind of lost the plot as far as that goes, and less like Rambo action, right? I understand that he has a background as a Marine and all of that, but I really would have liked if he outsmarted everyone
100%,
rather than this like ham-fisted way. And honestly, the way that this ended with one expert negotiator shooting the other expert negotiator and just getting a confession on radio, that it just doesn't work for me. It seems like they kind of cobbled that end together. So I'm going 2.5 wipes.
Shouldn't it have been called Negotiators?
That's a musical.
Okay.
Yeah. 2.5 wipes for me, 2 wipes from you, Big D. That gives us an average wipe score of 2.25 wipes for The Negotiator.
So, Gene, that now ties us in the 232 spot. True Romance, Clerks,
Wow,
Final Countdown, Liar Liar, Halloween 3, The Season of the Witch, Go, Gattaca, Street Fighter, and Crybaby.
None of those are bad movies. That's really 2.25.
Yeah.
At this roughly 500 movie mark, like this is what you get, right? Anything above average, it's a good movie. Those are all good movies.
It is proficiently made.
Yeah.
There's no plot hole that is so large that you just, it's egregious. The performances are great. The direction is great. The production is great. Hair too long, Yeah. Like I think in The Fugitive maybe just kept the pacing going a little quicker. Here we had some dead time, but like I can't fault it for it. Nobody walked out of the theater pissed in 1998 when they watched this.
Probably actual police negotiators and snipers were like very upset.
Bullshit. Police negotiators went home and beat the shit out of their dicks. They went home and they went home with their wives and were like, honey, daddy's home. Come here. I'm going to negotiate those panties off. 100%. This was their movie, Gene. A negotiator? You think they walked out angry? This was the pinnacle. If there was the Adam Vinatieri story, right? They make fucking movies about Rudy, Vincent Papali, or whatever the hell his name was, Invincible. They're not making kicker films, and they're not making negotiator films.
All right, before we close out, we've got some email to get through. And by the way, if you'd like to email us, it's host@shatpod.com. These have been waiting for quite a while, so I'm very excited to get to them. The first one comes from Pat Bradshaw, who says, 3 bourbons deep, me too, Pat, and looking to spend some money. Since Amazon is a soul-sucking ghoul that will eventually eat all of us, I'm giving that money to you. Would you two thespians be up for Dirty Rotten Scoundrels? Let me know if that one tickles your tickler. And thanks for all you do. This will be my second commission after Die Hard 3. Oh, Samuel L. Jackson. Thanks again, fellas. Pat Bradshaw.
Dirty Rotten Scoundrel, Patrick Bradshaw is on the schedule for September.
Ah, there you go, Pat. September. Dirty Rotten Scoundrel. I'm excited to get to that one. We haven't done Steve Martin in a while, so it's about time we got back to him.
Plus, it's back-to-back dirty films. We start with Dirty Dancing, then Dirty Rotten Scoundrels.
Hells yes. Mm-hmm. All right, Pat, that one's on the boards. Next up, we have one from David R., who says, Dear Gene and Big D, I've been quietly listening to your podcast since 2020 and wanted to finally reach out and say how much I appreciate you both. I'm a FedEx delivery driver here in Austin, Texas, working 6 days a week. That means long hours on the road with a single headphone in my ear, cycling through my favorite music and podcasts on repeat. I've easily listened to about 90% of your catalog 3 or 4 times each. Wow. And I truly admire the passion, humor, and hard work you put into every episode. Recently, I was chatting with my kids about some of Paul Walker's lesser-known non-Fast and Furious roles. I mentioned Joyride, The Skulls, Running Scared, and then it hit me. His small but memorable part in the 1998 film Pleasantville. I've introduced my kids to hundreds of movies over the years, many of which you've reviewed, and this one is now firmly on our household watch list. It is such a fun, thought-provoking classic with that perfect 90s vibe. I'd love to commission an episode on Pleasantville if possible. It would mean a lot to hear your takes on it. Thanks again for all you do. Your podcast has been great company on those long delivery routes, and it always brightens my day. Best regards, David R., Austin, Texas.
Oh, 100%. I'd be down. I thought he was going to say Into the Blue, like that surfing film with Jessica Alba. But Pleasantville, I don't even remember that he was in it. I thought it was thought-provoking. It was original at the time. I'd be excited to watch it again because I think it's a good film. Not it would be a good yuck laugh. So I would definitely be able to want to go back and watch it.
During the pandemic, we would leave like thank you packages out for the delivery drivers, you know, like, oh, like here's a snack and a bottled water or whatever. And since then we've kind of fallen off on that. And you guys,
I still do it. I have a mini fridge out in the garage. Every time any delivery driver comes out, if Emma's out there, it will be a water, a soda, and a chip bag. Always. I appreciate what you guys do. And I know how the deliveries or like the DSPs for Amazon, where they're not actually Amazon employees, they drive them like slaves, and I feel for them. And a lot of times you can see the stress, even where they're trying to just give me 15 seconds to get a snack or a break. I feel for you, and we appreciate what you do.
Well, that does it for The Negotiator. Big D, what do we have coming up next week?
Gene, next week, a woman's seemingly perfect life collapses after a violent tragedy, leaving her accused of a crime she insists she didn't commit. Another innocent person, Gene. Back-to-back weeks, somebody innocent accused of a crime they claim they didn't commit. We'll see if she's as innocent. Years later, after losing everything, she uncovers information that changes the entire game and sends her on a dangerous search for the truth. Hunted by the law and driven by revenge, she starts pushing back against the people who wronged her. What follows is part thrilling, part chase movie with plenty of close calls and bad decisions along the way. Next week, we're watching a story about betrayal, obsession, and how far someone will go when there's nothing left to lose. This came out in 99. Budget was about $40 million, made with a good profit, almost like $180 million. No major awards, but this is going to be a fucking great one because we talk about loopholes and how realistic something is. We've already been talking about whether there's a loophole in here that you could use to just get revenge.
Yeah, and we get to go to New Orleans. Mm-hmm. We get to go to prison. Yeah. We get to go boating in Washington State.
Fuck yeah.
I'm excited for this one. Well, thank you, Rob, for commissioning The Negotiator, and thank you for the upcoming commission. That'll close out the month of Rob, and we really appreciate your support through the years. Thank you to all the commissioners who make this podcast possible. That concludes this week's episode of Shat The Movies. Be sure to follow us on social media and share with a friend. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram at Shat The Movies. You can email us, host@shatpod.com. Support the podcast by buying our merch or commissioning your own movie. Find all information by visiting our website, shatpod.com. Also, check out our sister podcast, Shat on TV, where we review TV series such as Lovecraft Country, Westworld, True Detective, Taboo, American Gods, Game of Thrones, and Watchmen. Find all information on our website, shatpod.com/TV, wherever fine podcasts be found, including Apple Podcasts, Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe. And if you stop by Apple Podcasts, please leave a 5-star review. It helps the podcast grow. On behalf of my co-host, Big D, Dick Ebert, I'm Gene Lyons. Join us next time for the following movie.
In every life,
But you know what, kiddo? I don't think I want you to grow up. Who's gonna go sailing with me then?
in every love,
If you like it, it's yours.
If I like it.
there is a moment
We should do this more often. Go away, just the two of us, with nobody else around.
never to be forgotten.
Dick?
Put the knife down, ma'am, and step away!
I don't know where my husband is.
Nick bought life insurance policies.
Nick wanted to make sure that we'd be okay.
There's a big difference between okay and $2 million. The jury may see it as a motive.
I didn't kill my husband.
Libby Parsons is in prison for a crime she didn't commit.
I'd like you to adopt my son. Money won't be a problem. It isn't about money. Thank you.
Now the only way back to her son is to find out what really happened.
Hi, Mommy.
Hello, sweetie pie.
Daddy.
Nick? Nick?
You ever hear something called double jeopardy? The state says you already killed your husband. They can't convict you of it a second time. That means that when you leave here, you can kill him. And there's nothing anybody can do about it. It makes you feel warm and tingly all over, don't it?
Paramount Pictures presents
Who's this? That's somebody I'm looking for. Pretty girl? Oh, yeah, she's very pretty for a convicted murderer. What are you looking for?
A friend I haven't seen for a couple years.
And you died in the accident. Poor Simon. I've never seen anyone so grief-stricken.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's over, Libby.
You cannot know what it is like to sit in prison and think of nothing else in the world but your son. Did I make the right choice? I didn't have a choice.
You ever arrest anybody you thought was innocent, but you can't prove it? She is in New Orleans. She does have a gun. She is looking for you. She believes that I'm her husband, whom she killed. Yes, sir.
Hello, Nick. I learned a few things in prison. I could shoot you in the middle of Mardi Gras and they can't touch me.
Double Jeopardy.
Where's my son?